Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the featured bout of the evening. From the four corners of the world, to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
Well, from wherever you're watching around the world, a very warm November welcome to the UAE. We are just 3 days away from a huge fight night here in Abu Dhabi as Russia's Dmitry Bivol, after a stunning performance against Canelo Alvarez, walks back into the fire against another brilliant Mexican in Gilberto Ramirez. WBA light heavyweight world championship on the line Saturday night, live on DAZN. We'll be live from 2 p.m. Out here, which is Saturday afternoon if you're in the UK, 10 a.m. Eastern if you're in the US, and 6 a.m. Pacific for the early risers. We've got a bit of an event on here, Eddie Hearn. We've got the punch machine. I know you're aching to tell us who's leading the way with that. After 19 goes, pretending it was Simon Jordan. What was it, 900 and what?
It's a mere 924, Chris.
Load the neck. He's going to load the neck. Right hook.
Yeah, the straight right hand wasn't registering. I switched it up with a right hook. Boom. You know,
and 16 and a half stone behind
and actually, you know, went past a number of former world champions who tried, including the man to my right, but that's all right. He only had 27 goes also, and I'm sure he'll have a few more later.
That is our running order for this afternoon. We have got 9 fights on the undercard before the main event, and that is the fighters that we're going to go through this afternoon in the ring, on the pads, going through their workouts, and we'll be talking about all of them ahead of a big night live on DAZN Saturday night from Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. Chris Lloyd here with Darren Barker and Eddie Hearn. We've got a few about to go through the pace of the ring. David Diamante is standing by. This is a new venture for us, isn't it?
Incredibly exciting. I mean, you know, Abu Dhabi now is become a real sort of global destination for major sporting events. We've got a tough act to follow. 2 weeks ago was an incredible UFC event in Abu Dhabi in the same arena, the Etihad Arena. I think a week or two before that was NBA, and in 2 weeks' time you got F1. So we needed to come in with a great fight, with a great card, and I really believe we've done it. You know, Bivol Ramirez, I think one of the top fights of the year, but not just that. Cameron against McCaskill for undisputed, Zelfa Barrett going for the world title, Galal Yafai, Kal Yafai, Campbell Hatton, Aqib Fiaz. Tremendous fight card from top to bottom, and you know, the stars are flying into Abu Dhabi this week. AJ's in town, Oscar De La Hoya's in town, Haney's in town, many others. Darren Barker, he's here, former world middleweight champion.
It's the quietest he's ever been.
You can't crack an egg.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was all right. You had a good jab. And but it's a big moment for us as a business. You know, the Middle East is going to play a very important role in all global sport, but particularly in boxing. And as a global promotional business, we need to be here. And obviously, off the back of 2 heavyweight world championship events in Saudi Arabia, it's great to start this journey with DCT in Abu Dhabi and the Champions Series, and it all gets underway on Saturday night.
It does indeed. Well, let's see the first of our fighters in the ring this afternoon. David Diamante is going to bring him to the ring.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Yas Mall here in Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, for the open workout for a big night of World Championship Professional Boxing taking place on Saturday night at the Etihad Arena. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. It'll be shown live around the world exclusively on DAZN. And we're sponsored by Palm Sports and Wow Hydrate. It's a great fight card. We've got 10 fights on the card. There are 4 title fights. We have an undisputed world title at the top of the bill. Dmitry Bivol and Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez go toe-to-toe. 2 undefeated fighters. It's a nix-and-nil fight for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship of the world. As I said earlier, this is the open workout, so we're going to go ahead and start today with a fighter from Dubai. He is undefeated in his young campaign, 7-0, 4 knockouts. Fighting out of Dubai, UAE, he goes by the nickname Surastis. Please welcome Majid Al-Naqbi. Al-Naqbi.
So all smiles, the first fighter of the afternoon here in the Yas Mall. One of 3 Emirati fighters that have been added to this undercard. This is Majid Al-Naqbi. He's a 3-time national champion now, undefeated, 7-0. Super lightweight prospect from Dubai. He's got 4 knockouts from those 7 wins. Was on the Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz undercard in Diriyah, Saudi Arabia, December 2019. And he beat Ili Berishvili. You can probably hear Eddie Hearn singing behind me. Do adjust your sets. He's a very confident young man, small, compact fighters, boxed his last 3 around 140 pounds. He's pretty game busy, works the body well. Several of these lads, Eddie, just based in a local gym, small local gym. I mean, this is an opportunity they couldn't have imagined recently, 6 months ago.
I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to manage on Saturday night in the Etihad Arena with 10, 11,000 people there, but this is part of the development of what we're trying to do here in the region, a long-term vision to build from grassroots all the way up to elite level. So increased participation among the younger generation, give amateur fighters a chance to succeed in major tournaments, world championships and Olympics, and give professional fighters a platform to try and progress, because at the end of the day, if you don't get the chance to progress, if there aren't regular shows, you have no opportunities as a pro fighter. So 3 Emirati fighters fighting on the card on Saturday, a massive opportunity for them. And I'm watching, because if I can unearth one superstar from this region, the game changes here. And these guys have got a golden opportunity.
Is there going to be any help for the associations over here, the amateur associations? Because for me, when I look at these, and you do your prep and you look at the fighters, they're talented, but for me, the hard thing is they don't have that solid foundation from the amateurs. Do you know what I mean? They don't have the competition as the likes of us back home. Is that something you're going to sort of not necessarily invest in, but spend a bit of time in trying to help develop the young talent?
That's really, it's often called a cradle to grave mentality, where you're taking a fighter through the whole transition of when they first lace up a pair of gloves to hopefully getting to world championship level. That really comes from opportunities, facilities, coaching through the amateur system. And one thing that I feel like this region will invest in is that development of coaching, that performance. We want to build our own performance centre here. We always try and emulate in many ways a lot of what the UFC do. They're an incredible organisation, but it's always been a dream of mine to create a facility where, like elite athletes can go. And if you go to the UFC Institute in Las Vegas, it is incredible. Like nutrition, just medical advice, performance, everything. And it's like, I would love to build something here where young elite fighters from the region can train and get the best opportunities in coaching, but also our global stable can use. I mean, you're an ex-fighter. Imagine the opportunity.
I'll manage it.
Yeah, you'll manage it. You would have lived there if you were doing it when we fought. But that's really, when you talk about fighters living the life, that's really a place where, because in your downtime as a fighter, you shouldn't really be going on holiday, out partying, drinking, enjoying yourself. That's the reality, right? If you want to be an elite fighter, if you want to go down in history and create legacy, you have to live the life 365 days a year. So when you're not fighting, when you're not in training camp, to be out there, to be, getting physio, getting treatment on your body, to be recovering, whether it's hyperbaric chambers, whether it's cold water therapy, whatever it is, to prepare yourself for the next camp. Because if you look at the elite fighters, Mayweather's a great example, it's the lifestyle, and it's a short lifestyle, it's a very short span. But to create that facility where, not dropping any names, but my pal Odell Beckham Jr. was out here, and a lot of these, but a lot of these athletes are now using this part of the world for those kind of facilities because they are second to none. And I think there's a real desire from Abu Dhabi and the DCT to create those kind of facilities, not just for elite athletes at the moment, but to develop these young fighters. Because as you say, without the amateur foundations, it's very unlikely that a fighter's just going to turn professional with no amateur experience and go and be a force in the professional game. But you saw, if you go back to the Anthony Joshua card in Saudi with Emirati fighters and local fighters, the atmosphere is incredible in the arena and they really get behind them, and that can change everything. Really, one star from this region. You need someone to inspire the younger generation.
So he's with Coach Gadar on the pad from Kane's Boxing Academy, which is on Airport Road, just a couple of miles from where we are now. They're a small stable of local fighters. They were visited by Dmitry Bivol, Gilberto Ramirez and Freddie Roach this week as well, which you can imagine for kids like that. It's all right, they can hear us over there.
Ladies and gentlemen, get your hands together.
You can imagine for kids like that, meeting the likes of Bivol and Ramirez and Freddie Roach this week in their local gym. An amazing experience.
Great to see you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's... I guess it's the benchmark. If you're these young fighters in the gym and you're seeing these sort of guys that have hit the heights of the sport, it rubs off. That's where you're aiming to get to. That's the pinnacle of sport, and I think along with the amateur setup, those sort of influences being here make a big difference.
All right, well, Majid Al-Naqbi's gone through his workout. He's in against John Lawrence Ordonio from San Fernando in the Philippines.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 6 rounds in the lightweight division. We've got a gentleman coming up right now. He's also from Dubai in the UAE. 10-1, 2 knockouts. Kid Emirati, ladies and gentlemen, Fahad Al-Bloushi. Al-Bloushi.
So the Emirati kid, Fahad Al-Bloushi, he's 26 years of age, half Pinoy, half Emirati, super featherweight, 10-1 with 2 KOs. He was scheduled to face a 6-round rematch with Georgi Gochishvili, who handed him his only career defeat when they met in 2019 in Kazakhstan, but I have word that his opponent has been rescheduled for Saturday night. He kind of fights, and you may see it on the pads, I'm not sure, kind of fights Philly shell, shoulder roll, counters off the lead. In there with his coach now, we'll see him go through the pad routine. He said he's excited to be on this card. What he says is, without a doubt, the biggest night in UAE boxing history. These kids to all be part of Before the Bell, starting 6 p.m. here local time, going through to about 9:30, where we'll go live on the main card with former world champion at super flyweight Kal Yafai, his brother Olympic gold medalist Galal Yafai from the Tokyo Games, Zelfa Barrett and Shavkat Rakhimov in competition for the IBF super featherweight world title as well. Chantelle Cameron and Jess McCaskill contesting all the belts at 140 pounds before Dmitry Bivol makes yet another defence of his WBA World Light Heavyweight title against the former super middleweight world champion, the tall figure of Mexico's Gilberto Ramirez.
I guess going back to what we were talking about, and not to get too tactical now, but the likes of these fighters that don't have that amateur pedigree, that background, is, I feel, defensively. When you watch these fighters in their previous fights, when they let their hands go, they're decent. I think it's when shots are fired back at them, they don't really know how to defend properly. They've not really been under the cosh at a decent level, and I think that is one of the things that needs to be improved on.
Is that a reflection of the standard of coaching?
Absolutely. Well, the coaching,
or just the experience
the
of being in those situations?
Look, you know how important sparring is as part of your development. Coaching is crucial. The opposition, the quality of opposition, it's everything. It really is everything. But I feel these fighters over here at Game, they want to get stuck in. They want to make names for themselves. They want to change their lives. But you can only end up doing that with the right tutelage.
When you look at coaches now, obviously Tony Sims, your coach, would be big on defence and all-rounded skills. You look at a lot of coaches these days, the emphasis seems to be on attacking pad work, and rather than actually studying the sport and the defensive side of the sport.
Look, do you know what, for me, look, my dad used to always say to me when I was a kid, if they can't hit you, they can't win. So, first and foremost, start off with defence. Work from there. Look, cover your bases defensively, then work on with the other stuff. But I think that the nature of boxing, certainly now, the money that's been invested in the sport is about entertainment. So you've got to look good, you've got to look dangerous, you've got to look spiteful. And I feel that's why it's shifted ever so slightly now.
Let's hear that there once again for Fahad Al-Bloushi, ladies and gentlemen, from Dubai. 10-1, 2 knockouts. They'll be fighting Saturday night. Kid Emirati, ladies and gentlemen, looking good. Our next fighter coming in, he's the son of a legend, and he's now undefeated as a professional. 8 fights, 8 victories, 2 of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Manchester, England, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Campbell, the Hurricane Hatton.
It's the third outing this year for Campbell Hatton. He was out 5 times in his first year as a professional, had a well-earned break over Christmas. And Eddie, I think consensus was last year, and he agreed with us that he just moved pretty quickly and probably in front of the crowds a little bit too early in his career, particularly against Sonny Martinez on the AJ Usyk undercard, where kind of almost came unstuck, and just the plan to move him around the kind of the European circuit a little bit, just slightly under the radar, and he's starting to look a little bit stronger and more together this year.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I think it's very difficult, as we've seen with Campbell, with Chris Eubank, with Conor. You're always going to be compared to your dad, and in those instances, your dad was a legend of British boxing. You're talking about comparing him to Ricky Hatton. You know, boxed Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, had one of the biggest followings in British boxing history. So, in that respect, it's very difficult. He's not his father. He didn't have the amateur success that his father had. Probably doesn't have the ability that his father had at this moment in his career. Doesn't mean that's not to come. But, you know, I go along the other route. I think if you're going to walk that path, you're going to have to be thrown into situations that, quite frankly, others wouldn't be thrown into, particularly going out and boxing in front of 70,000 at Spurs in what was his 3rd fight or something like that. I mean, looking back, that's pretty brutal. Tough. Tough. At the end of the day, he's getting these opportunities because of the name, right? Someone else with his amateur pedigree wouldn't be getting these opportunities. Now he's got to improve and get respect on his own name. And you do that by putting in the performances. I respect him because I know how hard he's working and I know he's improving. But there's a long way to go with Campbell Hatton. But also at the same time, you are getting to the point where you're going to start moving to 8 rounds. The fights are going to start getting tougher, and before you know it, you're going to be at 10 rounds, and then after a while, you're going to have to fight for English titles and British titles, and you have to go through the levels. And if you don't go through the levels, this is a game of snakes and ladders, and you will fall back down the board. But Campbell is giving himself every opportunity, and I think what we've done is right. We took him behind closed doors a little bit. You know, we boxed him internationally earlier on the cards, and I think that's really done him well. But he's getting opportunities. You know, he's out here on this show again, and he's got to make the most of it. And you know, Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. the same. None of them had impressive amateur careers. They all got the opportunities off their name. It is harder to become established within your own right, but you've got to take the rough with the smooth, and ultimately you're going to be under pressure and you're going to be put on the big stage because people are going to want to watch you fight, and some are going to watch you fail.
You took the words out of my mouth when you said about him fighting. I think it was in Bilbao and a couple of the others, and fighting out here, and I think that really does take the pressure off of Campbell because all eyes are on him back home. When he's abroad, like you've just alluded, it's not the same sort of pressure. What is the plan for Campbell? I mean, how far, I mean, is the central area title something like that?
Yeah, you got Jimmy first as the central area champion.
Yeah. I think that, you know, even when you watch him now training and going through the motions with Matthew Hatton, you see a different fighter. I think you see a fighter that has improved technically. Now we're watching him on pads.
Always remember that first day when he came over and just gassed himself out on the pads.
Yeah, I know. And also gassed himself out in Gibraltar. Do you remember, over 4 rounds? I mean, but there's a huge amount of pressure on his shoulders. But I feel like this is a young man that, you know, needs time, but also he's getting all the experience he needs and all the opportunities he needs. So I think that realistically 2023 is about moving up the rounds, 8 rounds, moving towards area title levels, moving towards English eliminators. I see him still 2 years away from fighting for a British title, you know, and still that's an impressive level to get to. You know, just because his old man went and boxed Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, I don't mean automatically he's going to follow suit.
Not everyone's ceiling is the same.
No. But, you know, he has ability. There is a huge amount of pressure on him every time he steps in the ring. But I like what I'm seeing. You know, with his development in the ring, even watching him right now, speaking to him, seeing him just calm down and experience it all. He's experienced a lot in the last couple of years, and it's put him in great stead to go on and improve.
He's in against Denis Bartov from Rakovic in the Czech Republic. Got a mixed record, 9-5, but of those 9, he's stopped 6 opponents. I was talking to his uncle Matthew, just knocked the pad off there, and he said quite a while Bartos comes to really fight, and he believes that will suit Campbell Hatton. I think some of the more equipped journeymen who know how to tackle and survive have been kind of awkward for him. You want somebody that's going to open up and let the hands go against him.
Yeah, look, I think what I've noticed being out in the States a few times and watching the journeymen out there, they're different to what we have back home. They really tend to go in their shell, survive so they can fight next week. That doesn't help you as a fighter, I don't feel. It's very hard to sort of unlock the puzzle that's in front of you. So for Campbell to have opponents that are firing back, making him think about what's coming back, and they will obviously leave themselves open. So yeah, matching Campbell is important, that they get somebody that is going to let the hands go. But we've got to remember he's still learning.
Hatton, the undefeated Mancunian. He's in action on Saturday night at the Etihad Arena here in Abu Dhabi.
So Campbell Hatton is third up on the bill, on Before the Bell Saturday afternoon. Just going to come and sit in the studio with us while Aqib Fiaz and I think Sultan Al-Nuaimi is actually going to get into the ring. Let's get Sultan Al-Nuaimi into the ring and then we'll have a chat with Campbell. Here's David.
Our next fight, 8-round super flyweights. We got another undefeated gentleman from Dubai here in the UAE. At this time, please welcome 8-0, 5 knockouts from Dubai, UAE. Ladies and gentlemen, Sultan Al-Nuaimi.
So one of the 3 Emirati prospects on the card, Sultan Al-Nuaimi, looking to go 9-0 against Jose Santos from Macau in Ecuador on Saturday night. That will finish things off on Before the Bell. I want to go through his routine. Let's have a chat with Campbell Hatton. I think he's caught his breath after that pad routine. This is a bit different, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it's been a mad week, really. It's been like a little holiday.
Yeah, not bad at all. You've had 3 fights this year, now you have 5 in your first year as a pro. A little bit more time in between fights just to kind of work on your craft and spend a little bit more time in the gym?
Yeah, and I think coming into this one, we've seen the gradual improvements, and we've been coming away pleased that we've performed better, but we know there's still a lot more that I'm capable of, and we're going to show it this time. I've got into a bit of a habit where I started the fights perfectly the first half, and then slowly crept back into like just focusing on volume and getting a bit scrappy and just going in tear-up mode a little bit. So made a conscious effort this time around to try and get rid of it completely.
I'm going to have to start calling you the road warrior, I think. You've been, was it Bilbao, Gibraltar, and now Abu Dhabi.
Not bad, is it? Yeah.
It's not bad at all. Do you feel a sense of release from the pressure when you're fighting abroad? You know, obviously a huge name back home. Do you feel a little bit at ease when you're away from home?
Yeah, like this week, it's been probably one of the biggest shows I've been on still, but it's been the most relaxed I've been. I had an hour around the pool before, sunbathing. Me and Matt need it anyway, don't we?
On you.
We need it, but yeah, just dead relaxed. I've not got the pressure of wanting to impress people back home, like have friends and family coming to watch. I can just concentrate on the job, but this time round I'm just going to look to show off the more skillful side that we know I'm capable of.
Yeah. I was chatting to Matthew, and obviously seeing Jamie Moore's team out here, I know him and your uncle get on well, and I kind of thought, I wonder if you and Aqib Fiaz had sparred together, and of course you were at Northside together in the very early days. Did you do much sparring? Do you think you might do a little bit of sparring with Aqib next year? That would make a bit of sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we was going to do it this time, but circumstances meant that things kept coming up. But yeah, sparred Aqib when we was both at Northside, obviously a long time ago. So I was about 15, I think he was about 16. So it'd be good to get a few more rounds in. Yeah, because I think it'd be top class rounds. And we were talking about just your options for next year, maybe a central area. Jimmy first beat Justin Newell in a couple of rounds to become the new central area lightweight champion. That be a sort of fight that would maybe be of interest to you at some point next year? If you're going to take a step up central area, that'd be a good place to start, do you think? Yeah, without a doubt. Obviously the road they want to go down I'll leave to my team, but I think think that them type of fights are definitely within my reach next year, and 100% I'm looking to pick up a title of some sort.
Good man. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday night, Campbell. Thanks very much for joining us, mate. And we'll go and towel off, and we'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. So Campbell Hatton will be in action against Denis Bartos from Rakhimov in the Czech Republic. He's a bit of a handful. Campbell Hatton's opponent can bang a little bit. 6 of his 8 wins have come by way of knockout, and he comes to fight as well.
Yeah, he's one of those, when he lets his hands go, he really commits to the shot. There's pluses and negatives to that. You know, you can, if you hit your opponent, really hurt them. But if you miss with a shot, you expose yourself, and there are openings. I think it's important for Campbell to keep the shots nice and straight. What I've enjoyed watching Campbell's, the improvements that I've seen are he's snapping the shots out more as opposed to pushing the shots out. There's more thought behind his work. So I think intelligent boxing, don't do anything silly. Keep the shots nice and straight. They'll get to the opponent quicker than the opponent's shots will. Like I say, the big wide hook. So it's another step for Campbell Hatton to keep improving.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, clap your hands out here. Sultan Al-Nuaimi, undefeated. There we go, DJ's into it. Undefeated from Dubai, super flyweight. Super fly, this whole card is super fly. It's the beginning of our champion series here in Abu Dhabi, UAE. Again, sponsored by Palm Sports, Stagefront, and Wow Hydrate. Brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. Telecast live around the world exclusively on DAZN. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with our next fighter.
Okay, so we've just seen Campbell Hatton and Sultan Al-Nuaimi, undefeated super flyweight with 5 knockouts from his 8 wins, 2-time national champion. Looking forward as part of one of the 3 Emiratis on the bill on the undercard to showing what they have got on Saturday night. We'll be shortly seeing Aqib Fiaz go through his open workout. He's just getting himself ready, but let's talk about this main event. Do you want to?
I'm having to creep in here. I'm 40 years old and my ears are starting to go.
Yeah,
it's very loud here.
My ears are fine, and it's unusual I can't hear you, mate. So, I guess for both of these fighters, this is the fight that can kind of put them, well, for Gilberto Ramirez, the fight that can really put him on the map. He's had as many fights as he's had, but the criticism of him is that there's always been a caveat to a lot of his opposition. Some have been a little bit past their prime, fringe world level guys. He's had some very, very good fights, but for Dmitry Bivol, there's a lot of people that I don't think were too high on him before the Canelo fight, but the crowd has firmly shifted in his favour. Everybody's high on Dmitry Bivol. He is consensus number 1 or 2, depending on which way you look at it with Artur Beterbiev. But for the pair of them, this fight is a huge sort of notch on their legacy, isn't it?
It's as big as it gets for me right now, because look, I'm not getting too carried away with the Canelo victory, right? We called that back. No, look, we basically called it, and you certainly, because you were very vocal about it. Got a lot of stick on Twitter, but we did the tactics show, and you've got to remember, Bivol is naturally a lot bigger than Canelo. He's a naturally bigger man. But what I do take away from that victory is his ability to handle the big occasion, the pressure going into that fight. You know, I was very impressed with it. He grabbed the fight by the scruff of the neck early on, and he said, look, I'm the bigger man, I'm the better man, and I'm going to prove it, and he did. For me, against Ramirez, like exactly what you said there, Ramirez kind of untested in comparison to Bivol. He's a very good fighter, but we don't quite know how good. For me, I just lean towards Bivol. I think the feet, well, when I say lean towards Bivol, I think he'll win comfortably on points, if I'm honest, but I do feel there's going to be patches where it's going to be very, very entertaining. I could talk about this all night long. I'm really, really intrigued by this fight.
Well, we will talk about it a little bit later on, and we will talk about it over the next couple of days as well. Dmitry Bivol, who became the man who beat the man earlier on this year.
Canelo has fought 18 different world champions. Only Floyd Mayweather has beaten him.
I think really the Canelo-Bivol fight was about the challenge of the weight. But Dmitry Bivol is a man that's been talked about in boxing for a long time as someone who's got ability well beyond the opposition that he's faced. And there was always the danger in that fight that this guy was really good. This guy was not just a world champion, this guy was the best in the division. This guy was a pound for pound great. And he went on to prove it on Cinco de Mayo.
Biggest moment of Dmitry Bivol's career, and he has risen to the occasion thus far. But you can can see when Bivol throws the 1-2s like this, he is scoring, and these are bothering Canelo.
You can see the forehead of Canelo getting reddened as well.
I think Canelo Alvarez, you know, I'm sure he had his problems in camp, and people do, but I think that what we saw was a pound-for-pound great in Dmitry Bivol, you know, who was just too big and too strong and maybe too good on the night for Canelo Alvarez. And you know, there was a lot of people in boxing that it didn't surprise, but it probably did surprise Team Canelo.
Dos golpes, se mueve la cintura. Está más pesado que tú, ya no lo puedes limpiar. Ok, agarra aire.
Canelo is known to take on big challenges, fighting the best. He might have bit off too much than he could chew here tonight.
I think the atmosphere, you know, when people realised that Canelo Alvarez was in a real fight, it was bubbling, and then as the fight progressed and Dmitry Bivol started to run away from the fight, it was depressing for the Mexican fans. You know, Dmitry silenced them and really used his size and his skill to win rounds and dominate the fight against Canelo Alvarez.
And always staying in control, not giving up control.
Yeah, he's frustrated.
Look at the reaction of Dmitry Bivol after the fight, it really says this didn't surprise me. You know, ice running through this man's veins. I don't think his pulse rate really ever changes. He's ice cold, he's a dangerous man, and he's ready for all comers.
He's still undefeated and still the WBA light heavyweight champion.
I mean, I think what Dmitry Bivol proved that night is not only is he a pound-for-pound great, but in my opinion, he's the number 175 pounder in the world. Of course, he wants to be undisputed. A fight with Artur Beterbiev is also dawning, but right now faces arguably one of the toughest tests of his career in Zurdo Ramirez, a true 175 pounder, former world super middleweight champion, undefeated as well, who wants to create his own legacy in the sport and beat a pound-for-pound great in Dmitry Bivol.
WBA light heavyweight champion of the world, Dmitry Bivol.
It's interesting. I mean, on one hand, Canelo Alvarez wants Zurdo to win from Mexico. On the other hand, Canelo probably wants Bivol to win because he wants to make sure he gets his hands on him for the rematch. And Bivol must win to land that Canelo Alvarez rematch. And maybe he'll want to go on and fight for undisputed as well, but Zurdo may be looking for the victory to push his own narrative for a Canelo Alvarez fight. So much in play on so many levels. I think this is the perfect fight to kick off the Champion Series. You know, a true epic matchup at 175 pounds, a pound-for-pound great in Dmitry Bivol against a fantastic undefeated fighter in Zurdo Ramirez. Such an important fight for the division, such an important fight for boxing, a huge undercard with plenty of World Championship action, and as I said, the perfect way to kick off the Champion Series in Abu Dhabi.
What a night that was for Dmitry Bivol, cementing himself as one of the best fighters on the planet, pound for pound. And, well, we talked about, you know, us calling the win, and I think people were surprised in the build-up to the fight. But I think maybe it says a little bit more about how little people had watched of Dmitry Bivol, given how good he is, and maybe he hasn't had the opposition that have set the world alight as well. So for him, we talked about this being Gilberto Ramirez's opportunity, but Ramirez has a big fan base too. For Dmitry Bivol, if he wants to secure that unification with Artur Beterbiev and become undisputed at light heavyweight, this is, although not a world title for him to be gained by this, he's got to defend his belt, and it's not an easy defence. This puts, I suppose, extra emphasis on him and Beterbiev being the fight to make at light heavyweight.
Yeah, I think so. It's huge. It really is. It's a massive fight. But both fighters, you've just got to see them around the hotels, etc. We see them yesterday. They're extremely focused at the fight at hand. They're very experienced fighters now. This is for me, a huge test for Ramirez. It really is. I mean, we will find out how good this man is.
Well, that's top of the bill, of course. WBA World Light Heavyweight title on the line. Dmitry Bivol defending the belt against Gilberto Ramirez. Plenty of action on the undercard. The final fight on before the bell. We just saw him work out Sultan Al-Nuaimi, but Aqib Fiaz now ready to go through his open workout. So let's hand you over to David to bring him into the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official open workout continues here from Yas Mall, Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, for a big show taking place here on Saturday night. That's all being brought to you courtesy of Matchroom. And our next fighter making his way up to the stage right now and to the ring. He's from Oldham, Lancashire, England. He's undefeated as a professional, 9-0. Please welcome Aqib Fiaz. Fiaz. His trainers, Jamie and Nigel.
Right, so David Diamante referenced Jamie and Nigel. They're Jamie Moore, of course, former British light middleweight champion. Nigel Travis, Jamie's PA. But what a brilliant training team that they have been for this young man. Jamie Moore, 2018, I think it was. He was looking for kind of high-paced, aggressive young fighter to prepare Carl Frampton for what ended up being just about fight of the year in 2018, and they found this man, young Aqib Fiaz, and they were so impressed after the first few spars. But they decided to keep him on. Frampton since has hung him up. He's talked about just what a good young man he is, and well, he's had a very, very difficult 18 months. He lost his mum and his best friend within the space of about 10 days, both to COVID, a bolt out of the blue, and as such he had a bit of time off last year, as we would fully expect. He's been just trying to get life together, but he's dealt with it for a man of his age unbelievably well, Darren. He's come back looking in good spirits and good health. And a couple of kind of shake the rust off fights, and another one for him on Saturday night. It's great to see him back again.
Obviously, being a boxing promotion, we're talking about fighters, how good they are, who they're fighting next, wins, defeats, but we don't always get to talk about the personality of the fighters. Aqib Fiaz is one of the nicest blokes you could wish to meet.
100%.
What a lovely bloke he is. Honestly, a really, really top man. Lovely spending time with him and seeing how much he enjoys this sport and how much he enjoys doing this. I say this all the time, and we understand this is so important, but it's about being active and being busy, and he wants to now really get on a roll of fighting frequently. What I love about Aqib is he's very accomplished on the back foot, fighting and boxing sensibly from that great pedigree that he has. But I like him in the pocket also. When he's up close, the way he slides uppercuts in, and he disguises them very well. He, puts the hook on the end of them. He'll step to the side. He'll avoid shots coming back to him. He's got a bit of everything. I think there's still time for him to be able to sit down the shots a little bit more. I feel there is power there that we've yet to see. But I'm a big fan of him personally and as a fighter.
Yeah, he was back out last time out for his ninth fight and ninth win against Jordan Ellison, tough man Jordan Ellison. It was a mini step up for Fiaz because he'd won a Northern Area title at light welterweight last November, was in good form, and he gave Fiaz a little bit to think about early on in the fight. The Fiaz pressured him, put his shots together really well in close, counter-punched on the front foot, as you mentioned, just punching off those little slips and dips. Just grounding down to a really good points victory. And as I mentioned, it's been a steady reintroduction back into the ring after just a horrendous and unthinkable 18 months for the young man from Oldham. Nigel Travis, of course, was a very good amateur boxer in his day, and he's been part of the National Fire Service in the UK for, well, I don't know how long here. I want to say over 25 years, but it could even be longer than that, although he might not thank me for saying that. But there's a little story about Nigel Travis that a few of you who are watching in the UK will know.
Make sure you choose the right one.
I will, yeah. There's a few, not those ones. He, in their local community, wanted to kind of take a few kids off the street, try and improve the local area, and in a big kind of back storage room in the fire station, they set up a gym without asking for permission from their superiors, because I think they knew they'd be turned down because the proof needed to be in the pudding. Set up, and after about 6 to 8 months, they had a group of 20-25 kids in there training regularly, and said eventually decided to kind of speak to his fire chief and say, look, want to show you something. Brought him into this makeshift gym, and he went, what the hell's this? And well, this is now, I guess, probably somewhere between 15 and 20 years on. Conor Tudsbury became their first fighter. I think he's now the #1 lightweight on the GB Olympic squad and will be pushing for a place big time for Paris 2024 at light heavyweight, and that's all thanks to the work that Nigel's done from the Moss Side Fire Station Boxing Club. So not only is this man an excellent trainer, Jamie Moore's partner in crime, they do an enormous amount of work with underprivileged kids in the community through the fire service, and now he's hung the hose up full time, as it were, and he's going to be head of the Moss Side Fire Station Boxing Club, running that full time. So just an example, if you needed reminding of the kind of story and the kind of work that boxing does in local communities in the UK, but all over the world. Really.
It is brilliant, mate, and it just shows you how important boxing is. Not just for, I mean, it changes kids' lives, changes their lives.
England. Nice to see everybody out here. Great fight card, championship series. It's happening here in Abu Dhabi at the Etihad Arena.
Here he comes.
Brought to you by Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. And we're sponsored by Palm Sports.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what that. I don't know if it was Eddie Hearn or some water or what.
JD Sports.
Who knows? We're just going to hand over to David shortly to bring Kal Yafai into the ring, his first fighter of the night.
Alicia Baumgarten out here, the bomb.
Alicia Baumgarten.
Alicia, great to see you, ladies and gentlemen. World champion right there, unified world champ. And our next fighter making his way to the state, 10 rounds in the bantamweight division, his professional record. 26 victories, 1 defeat. He has 15 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Birmingham, England. He's a 2008 Olympian and the former WBA super flyweight champion of the world. Please welcome Kal Yafai. Yafai. Clap your hands out there. Let's wake up. Look alive, people. All right, there we go.
Well, it's great to have Kal Yafai back, the former British Commonwealth and world champion, who in just over a 3-year period won 6 consecutive world title fights before running into one of the all-time legends in modern boxing, Roman Gonzalez Chocolatito. And unfortunately, after a brilliant firefight, he really played his part in that scrap. He was stopped in the 9th round, but after a couple of years off, that was just before the pandemic, he's returning to action. His brother in that time, of course, Galal Yafai, Olympic gold medalist, has made his way into the professional ranks and is being fast-tracked. But looking forward to seeing what this man has still got to offer in, I think, is going to be the 118-pound division. So while Kal Yafai goes through his paces and gets back to action for the first time in a couple of years, let's have a chat to Aqib Fiaz, mate. It's so good to see you, and we've been singing your praises as always. Just give us an idea of, we're talking about Jamie and Nigel, all the good work they do in the community. What have they done for your life over the last 4 years, Jamie and Nigel and the team that you've been with?
You know what, away from boxing, them guys are like my family. I've been through a lot recently, and them guys, if it wasn't for them, I can genuinely say, I don't know if I would still be boxing. And not just boxing, I don't know where I'd be, you know. I was in a really dark place, but the family sort of atmosphere we have in the gym, the way they care for everyone, you know, it's just, they're amazing people. And I'm just thinking, one example, Nigel runs Moss Side Fire Station, where he does that times 100. Jamie does the same over in Walkden. They're just great people to be around.
I know.
Sorry, I was about to say, a lot of coaches don't get that respect, I don't think. Not from the fight so much, but I don't think people understand how important a part they play as far as mentors are concerned. Like Tony Sims is certainly a mentor for me outside of the ring, but I was just going to go now onto a tactical side of things. How important, and what have you been working on with Jamie in the gym? I know you want to be active now, you want to be busy, and you're improving very, very well. What has been going on in the gym that we haven't been seeing?
I'm learning loads. I feel like over the last 10 fights I've had now, with this will be my 10th on Saturday, I've learned every single fight something new. And Jamie's all about me having not hard fights, but tougher fights than most prospects. And I feel like I'm more comfortable under the lights now, these big events. And Jamie's just sort of had me fights where I'm learning every single fight, and every fight I've took something from it.
And I know you have been sparring Chantelle Cameron, who has got a huge night, the biggest night of her career on Saturday night. Talk to me about how many kind of rounds are you doing? She said there was one point a couple of weeks ago, she thought you might have knocked one of her teeth out, so she went to check it, and then you gave her a dig in the ribs. I said, what's going on here?
You know what, that makes me sound really bad, doesn't it? But I swear,
Yeah.
I promise you. You know, sparring Chantelle, you think, oh, she's a woman and whatever, but I have to put some shots, put a bit into my shots, because she genuinely is a beast. She punches for 2 minutes non-stop, and you've got to be on it. And Nigel had me doing 5-minute rounds, so I was sparring her 2 minutes, had with Nigel 1 minute, and then sparred again for 2 minutes. So I had to, you know,
You're getting grilled.
Yeah. So it was tough work.
Just quickly from me, what is the plan for you for next year, Aqib? Is it about being busy? Is some sort of titles? Look, I know activity is the most important thing, but I'm surely you want to start pushing on now, don't you? I mean, by the summer, you're going to be looking at some sort of title.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. I've had 3 fights this year from June, so in only 6 months really. Activity is there now, and I feel like you'll start seeing the best version of me. And like you said, by summertime next year,
Kal
you'll want
Yafai up
to
here. Clap your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Kal Yafai. All right.
Former WBA super flyweight world champion, Kal Yafai there. Aqib, wish you all the very best on Saturday. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, mate. All the
World
best, mate.
champion in
Cheers.
action on Saturday night.
Well, this is a familiar face.
It's a very familiar face, but not one that we've seen for, well, we
long
see him around a
time.
lot, but it's really, really nice, because I know from a couple of the chats that we've had the last couple of years, you've been looking for dates, but there's a lot of uncertainty as to when you're going to be back. I know, you know, it's always difficult sitting on a defeat for any fighter. You then had the pandemic that you had to sit out for a year, 18 months. How has life been for Kal Yafai? How are you, mate?
All good, thank you. All good.
Oh, sorry. Good
Yeah,
to
all
see you.
good.
So talk to me about what's been going on. Obviously, you've been watching Galal rise to Olympic superstardom off a brilliant campaign in Tokyo. I know you're one of his biggest supporters, and all three of you do support each other as well. But how have you been feeling about your career, and what sort of process have you been through the last couple of years?
Yeah, good. Obviously, after last box back in 2020, come back, pandemic come. Obviously, I plan to have a good break afterwards. You know, I spoke to Eddie after, after the last
And
fight.
now making his way to the ring,
Eddie,
please
have a good
welcome the
break,
challenger
come back
going
end of
against
the year.
Kal Yafai. 10 rounds for the WBC International Flyweight Championship.
Obviously, I put on a lot of weight over the pandemic.
Mexico. Please welcome
And then I had a few issues in my personal life as well, but
12-1-1
yeah,
with one knockout.
I'm just in a good place now. I'm happy. I've had a long time to train. I've been training non-stop for the past year and a half. I've been away training, so yeah, I'm back, and I'm happy to be back.
Have you done much reflecting on your last fight? Look, you was in there with a legend, you know, a current legend, if you like.
That was a hell of a fight, by the way.
It was a hell of a fight.
You weren't out of the fight. It's just an unbelievable fighter, isn't it? Do you think tactically you'd approach it differently if you had the opportunity again?
You know what, I never look back and think, you know what, I wish I'd done this. If everything happened to a reason, I leave that in God's hands, that's it. Everything's written and I just crack on with it. The past is the past. I take it as an experience, I learn. Obviously I learned the hard way, but I just know that I knew, obviously, you know, I had to rest, I had to recover, I had to move up in weight, which is the most important thing for me. But taking nothing away from Roman Gonzalez, is an unbelievable fighter. And yeah, it's just, obviously, it's mad how you get written off as a fighter after one defeat, especially to a pound-for-pound legend. But, you know, I just crack on my career. I've had an unbelievable career. If somebody had told me 10 years ago...
Six back-to-back world title victories. It's not many British fighters can say that.
But if somebody said to me 10 years ago, this is what I was going to achieve, at this point, I would have bit their hand off. But there's more. I want more. The fire's there. I want, you know, I'm starving for success.
And does it excite you as well now at 118? Obviously, when you're a little bit older, let the body expand by 3 pounds. It's not a lot, but it just gives you that little 1% breathing space. With the potential of, I know Paul Butler's got the task of his life against Naoya Inoue. I think the expectation is Inoue will be victorious in that fight and then move up to 122. That then splinters 4 belts at 118 pounds. Now, I know you'll be out of the rankings because you've been out of action for a couple of years, but if you were to string 2 or 3 decent wins together, you've got one of the best promoters in the game. Surely they can get you into a good position to maybe fight for a world title in the next 18 months. How does that make you feel?
Like, the main thing for me is I concentrate on one fight at a time, as always. I've always been that kind of guy. I know how the game works. I know, you know, you take your eye off the ball for a split second, it can all come crashing down. Yeah. Darren knows that, you know what I mean? Like, your experience, you know it. And for me, just getting that out of the way and then see what's next. I'm sure, you know, I've worked with Eddie all my whole career. I'm sure he can get me a world title fight whenever he wants, really.
Don't want to look too far, sorry for back in there, don't want to look too past Saturday. I guess first off, what do you know about your opponent? And if all goes well Saturday, I know Chris mentioned 3 fights there. In your head, how many fights would you like in the rebuilding process before you have one of those big fights?
I think the main thing for me is just see how I perform on Saturday and how I look, how I feel. I think how I feel is the main thing. If everything's cool, I feel good, then get me the next, you know, if I can get a world title shot the fight after, great. Probably it'll be hard, but if it's a final eliminator or something, great. Obviously I want to be world champion. I was world champion for such a long time, and I just got used to being world champion. Yeah. I want that. I don't want nothing else.
That was what I was going to ask you, because you're sitting next to a 2-time European champion. He never lets me forget it either. But obviously, look, there's some kind of beatable opposition at British and European level, and coming up in weight. So there's no sort of plan to just kind of go back half a level, just get some experience, maybe European level, and then go back up just to kind of oil the wheels again after 2 years. You want to get straight back in the deep end?
No, European level, nothing there now. Forget that.
Okay. and I mean, it's going to be a race to the top between you and Galal. His opponent, Gohan Garcia Rodriguez, he's in the ring there. There he is, giving us the thumbs up in the Superman gear. And I mean, he's going to hopefully give your brother the rounds that he needs on Saturday night. But
is the challenger for the WBC.
Talking about Galal, possibly fighting for a world title at the back end of next year. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Is he ready?
Great to see you, brother.
I think so. But by the back end of next year, 100%.
And his opponent.
But like, he's just like me. He's just, you know,
into the ring.
Concentrate on one fight at a time and just get this guy out of the way first, and then move
champion.
on from there.
His professional record 2-0 with 2 knockouts from Birmingham, England. He is the 2020 Olympic gold medalist and the reigning, defending, undefeated WBC International Flyweight Champion, Galal Yafai.
He's just so cool with it as well.
He's what?
He's just so cool with it as well.
Yeah, you'd never know the kind of pressure that he's under or he's been under the last year, 18 months. Deals with everything cool as ice, and when he got that Olympic opportunity in Rio 2016, quite late notice really, wasn't it? I suppose he came onto the squad quite late, took Harvey Horn's kind of long-standing #1 spot, the former European silver medalist Harvey Horn, and then ended up in Rio, came up against the Cuban at the Olympic Games, and you know how difficult that is, hitting one of the Cubans. But when he came up against Zargalagos in 2020, what a performance that was, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, unbelievable. It's a rematch. And from the World Championships.
Yeah.
So, you know, people going, he's never going to beat the Cuban. No one beats Cuban. And I was thinking, well, he boxed him last year and he beat him. So, but obviously, you know, a lot of people don't get to see, you know, World Championships and things like that, so they don't know. But what a performance it was against a Cuban in the Olympics.
It's Uspani Vasia, sorry, I had Argalagos on the brain. Uspani Vasia, yeah, who's he's like a 200 bout world champion, 3-time world medalist on 3 Pan American Games medals as well. So, I mean, a proper fighter. But he came out like a bull, didn't it? Stuck it right on him. And I think you have to with the Cubans. If they get in any sort of rhythm, it's very hard to get them out of it.
Yeah, of course. And that's what they're not used to. That them Cubans, they're not used to having someone just, you know, basically put it on them and just rush them. They need space, they need time, and you know, Galal just walked straight through.
Once he won that, was that the point where you thought, yeah, he's going to win the tournament?
Yeah, because I knew it's for the medal. I thought this is it now. He needs to win this fight, the hardest fight for the medal, and then. But obviously the next 2 were tough as well. He had the Kazakh.
Bibosimov, yeah,
exactly.
unbelievable.
He won the World Championships after that.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
A year later, yeah. So, and then the Filipino beat the reigning Olympic champion.
Like the people he had to beat, the 5 that he had to go through to become Olympic champion, absolutely unbelievable. There was no Val Barker Trophy for the first time in Tokyo because Aiba, I think, were on that sort of ban. So I think we can award him the Dal Barker Trophy. can't we?
Dal Barker, yeah, that's it. That's his. The first recipient.
No bias here, no corruption, no cast backhanders here. No way, no way.
I don't know if I've asked you the question, Cal. If you have, I apologise for not remembering. But do you spar with each other?
Yeah, we had our last spar last week, done 10 rounds together.
Really?
Yeah.
And look, it's going to be hard because I guess you're going to be biased. But from your point of view, being in there with some of the best, whether it be sparring or fighting, how does Galal compare to some of those?
Compared to some of the guys
to some of the best that you've been in with.
Oh, yeah.
Where does he reign?
Yeah, he's right up there. The only thing the other guys have on him is size.
Right.
But, like, obviously, when we spar, he's like, technically, he don't show his full repertoire of, his technical ability. He is technically very smart, and he knows how to, when to go, when not to go, when to throw power shots, when not to throw power shots. He's very, very, very gifted.
And heavy-handed as well, so I hear. Heavy-handed for a little man too.
Carries some pop. He carries some pop.
You don't like to give your brothers too much credit, do you? Yeah, he did. He had us on the edge of our seats out in Tokyo, delayed by over a year. And of course, he was one of two that qualified. I think Peter McGrail was the other one. Thanks very much for your time, Cal. We look forward to seeing you back in action on Saturday. We're going to replace one Yafai brother for the other.
Galal Yafai right here, undefeated international champion, defending his title on Saturday night at the Etihad Arena here in Abu Dhabi.
Down comes the Commonwealth Games champion, Olympic gold medalist. But before we talk to Galal Yafai, let's just hand back to David to get the next fighters in the ring, and then we'll come back and have a word with our...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the open workout continues, and we now come to the first of our 3 world title contests. 12 rounds for the IBF Super Featherweight Championship of the world, and it pits number 2 in the world versus number 1 in the world. It is a vacant title. Right now, making his way up to the stage for the open workout, his professional record, 28 victories, 1 defeat. He has 16 wins coming by way of knockout. He's the former IBF Intercontinental Champion and the reigning Commonwealth and European Super Featherweight Champion. Please welcome Zelfa Brown Flash Barrett.
What an opportunity this is for Zelfa Barrett. He had one eye on Joe Cordina's challenge against Kenichi Ogawa in the summer. He was on the undercard where he won the European title against Farouk Korbanov in what was the performance of his career so far, and he knew he was sitting in a very, very strong position for that world title. Cordina, of course, with yet another hand injury, has been stripped of the title. He will get first dibs of the winner between Zelfa Barrett and Shavkat Rakhimov, who was Joe Cordina's mandatory. A dangerous fight for him on Saturday night. We'll talk about this with him in a few moments' time where he goes through his workout. I'm delighted to be joined by Galal Yafai now in the studio with us, mate. Another one, three fights this year, your third on Saturday night, and of course rescheduled from 4 weeks ago. Saw you sitting in the hotel lobby after Ben Eubank and everything that happened that week, and must be, I suppose every fighter at some point goes through almost to the point they've made weight and then a late pull-out. How was that for you? How have the last 4 weeks been for you?
Yeah, it was hard. Obviously, getting the news right at the beginning, obviously it was hard. I was prepared to fight. But yeah, it is what it is. That's my mindset, it is what it is. I got an opportunity here, and on Saturday I'll just take it and fight. I would normally fight and get a nice win.
We're just talking to your brother, of course, been out of the ring for about 2 years now. Said you've been sparring with him. How nice is it to be finally sharing a professional card with him? I bet you never thought you'd see the day, did you?
I know, yeah. I'm used to normally seeing Gamal and Kal sharing cards, and I think Gamal's over there a bit jealous.
Yeah.
But now hopefully in the future we can all share a card. But now it's good with Kal. He's someone we've all looked up to, me and Gamal. So now to find a card with him is brilliant.
Look, you've been incredible so far. I just wanted to ask, how have you found the transition, not just from a boxing side of things, but going from the amateurs to the professional? How have you found it?
You know what? It is different, but I've tried to keep everything similar. I know it's hard to, but as an amateur, thank God I was successful. I've got to try and keep the same attitude. Obviously, the training's different, things like that. More people watch, but I've got to try and keep everything similar, but just be better.
I'm sure you're going to ask this question probably more articulate way than I would, but look, I guess the big question is, you're one of those Olympic gold medalists and you cracked right on 10 rounders, etc. What is the plan moving forward? Look, I know you're too professional to overlook Saturday, but what is the plan B? When in your sights, when are you thinking about potential eliminators and world title shots?
You know what, Darren, the thing is, there's actually not a plan in myself. I just take it fight by fight. And I was saying the other day, I don't know whether people are rushing me or it's a compliment and I think I'm that good to be fighting for world titles in the future or soon. I've only had 2 fights, but can I mix it with the world champions? I probably can. No, not being deluded, I probably can. But I want to be in them and I want to win them as well, not just, compete with them. So I'm sure time will tell. I could look brilliant on Saturday, I could look great, I don't know, we'll see.
All right, let's say we're a year in the future, right? So it's 2023, November. Where would you like to be at? What's your ideal scenario?
Probably on the verge of fighting for world title, maybe. But again, it's a good question. It just depends how well I do, because I could fight someone half good, come unstuck, or could fight someone half good and just demolish them. So it just depends how I fight. And I can talk loads, but my fighting, what you're talking.
Zelfa Barrett, you'll see his uncle just watching on there. Bottom left of your screen, Pat Barrett, and while he talks about just how much he respects the man in the opposite corner to him on Saturday night, Freddie Roach, of course, one of the Hall of Fame trainers. I think he was inducted 10 years ago this year as well, and for all the great work he's done with so many world champions in that time as well. But every trainer has a great night, dreams of a great night, and of course this could be his with Zelfa Barrett on Saturday.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's here out there for the Brown Flash. Zelfa Barrett, ranked number 2 in the world. He's going for his first world title. Wish him the best of luck from Manchester, 28-1. Hell of a fighter. It's going to be a great fight, and he's going against the number one ranked fighter in the world, who's making his way to the ring right now. He fights out of Kurgantuben, Tajikistan. He's the former IBO super featherweight world champion. He's a southpaw, and he's undefeated in his campaign as a professional with a record of 16 victories, no defeats, 1 draw, with 13 of his 16 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome at this time, Shavkat Rakhimov.
So he was the mandatory challenger to Joe Cordina after that stunning knockout of Kenichi Ogawa in the summer. But of course, with Cordina's injury and him out for the foreseeable, the belt was made vacant, and the 1 and 2 challengers will meet for the vacant title on Saturday night. And well, we've got one in the ring there, Shavkat Rakhimov, under the guidance of Freddie Roach at the famous Wildcard Gym. And the other half of that brilliant fight is in the studio with Zelfa Barrett. Well, I remember speaking to you post-fight against Farouk Kurbanov in what was, I think you may agree, probably the performance of your career so far. Everything really started to come together, and I said, I know you'll have one eye on this main event, but I don't think you're prepared to do your homework quite as quickly as this, and your opportunity to come around quite as quickly, but that's what happens in boxing sometimes.
Listen, this is when you live the lifestyle and you live in the gym, this is what happens, opportunities come. I feel like I wasn't ready, I wouldn't have took it, because I believe I was getting this opportunity anyway. Rank number 2, I was getting a fight in December, co-main event, Josh Warrington, and then it would have been my next fight, the winner of this. So, you know, it's going to happen, but I believe in myself, and I live in the gym, and I'm fit.
Just Darren, I've got a question for you. He's fought 5 times in the last couple of years, 2 really good 12-rounders, Bruno Tarimo, who's an absolute bull, and Farouk Kurbanov, of course. So those 24 rounds of activity, although he's only had a 6-week camp, the activity and the fighting regularly at a good level, that's surely more important in preparation for a fight like this.
It's absolutely key. Your timing, your distance with quality fighters is crucial in a fight like this. Look, Rakhimov's no mug. We know he's a very good fighter, but you got to beat good fighters to win world titles. I'm sure you're aware of that. Not giving too much away, and I guess for us who know, it's probably not rocket science, but how do you beat Rakhimov? What's the plan?
To box his head off.
Yeah.
That's, you know, when it's, if you know boxing, you know styles make fights, and you know, he comes forward, he throws a lot of punches, and you know, but I believe his style's made for me, man. You know, and he's not gonna all of a sudden be like Lomo, is he? And be like this tricky southpaw. You know, he's gonna be coming forward. He believes in his power. So, you know, and he's a good fighter, but at this level, everyone's a good fighter.
I honestly believe Rakhimov will bring the best out of you. And the reason I've said this, you know, when I've done some interviews in the build-up to this fight, I've mentioned that you're such a laid-back individual, and I like to think I am in some respects, and a lot of fighters who are laid back sometimes can bring that personality into the ring. We see it against Donovan, in patches against Martinez, where you just kind of, this is no disrespect, this can happen where you get into that mode where you start coasting and you can switch off a little bit. You can't switch off from Rakhimov,
every single second of every single minute of every single round, he's going to be on me. He's going to try and try, so I know what I've got to do, and I won't take this fight if I didn't think I can win. I won't take this fight if I thought, you know what, it's too short notice. I've been in the gym, I've been fit, I've been ready, I was asking Eddie, well, my manager Steve Wood, to go to Eddie to get me a fight before a fight, because I've been ready, I've been in the gym, so yeah, man.
He's a multiple-time national champion in Tajikistan, boxed at the 2013 World Championship, 16-0-1. 13 knockouts. He's on a front foot counter-punching southpaw. For those of you who hasn't seen him, sharp, he's aggressive, heavy-handed with good timing as well. And after the victory over Azinga Fazili, joined up with Freddie Roach, level his game up even further. And well, he is dangerous with that left hand. We've seen him switch a couple of fighters off with it, but I think the same thing could be said about you.
Listen, vice versa. I've had 16 knockouts, he's had 16 fights. You know, he's done what he's had to do, but when I beat the fighters I've been in him with, I think I would. You know, he's a good fighter, I'm not taking it away from him, but I believe I'll beat him.
This is the kind of confidence and relaxation you want to see in a fighter ahead of a big night like this.
Absolutely, and you're saying all the right things. You can't switch off. Styles make fights, you feel he's made for you. That's what you want to hear. And also, for me, I'm looking at this, and this was obvious to everybody. There's pot of gold, and then there's big pots of gold. The chance to be a world champion, and then you've got that huge fight, whether it be Manchester or Cardiff, against Joe Cordina. It's huge for you, isn't it?
Becoming a world champion is huge, you know yourself, like, as a child, it gives me goosebumps now, you know what I mean? It's my mum's dream as well as my dream, so why am I going to say no? If I didn't think I was going to win, or I didn't think I was going to be ready, I wouldn't have took it. I know, deep in my heart and my soul, too many things happen to me in life for me not to be where I am now. Life's about a balance. Bad things can happen to me and not a good thing happen to me. My daughter's a blessing regardless, that's whatever. I've got a great family, great missus at home, but something I put my whole life into. I'm getting goosebumps now because I know it's my time Saturday, and I don't care where he's from, what he looks like, how many knockouts he's had, I don't care. I just know in my heart and soul I can beat this guy. If he walks into one of my punches, listen, it looks easy on the outside, my style looks easy, it looks like, oh, but I must have some sort of respectable power, because look at Bruno Tarimo. I remember watching him and I thought, oh my God, this guy doesn't step back. Got in the ring with me, whole different story. and I damaged my hand. So when he was going back, I couldn't really get on him. But listen, Saturday night I'm going to win. I can talk all day about it, but you know, Saturday night I'm going to win.
Darren, I know you'll share this thought. I think the way this young man's dealt with everything that's happened to him in the last year, his mum will be extremely proud of him. And you also know just what fire fighting for a lost loved one can give you in the most important fight of your life. And if he has to weather a rough patch here or there, it could be what he needs to get through it, as it was with you.
Well, it just gave me that extra level. I didn't know that there was a level you could go beyond, but when you suffer grief, as we have, it just takes you to and elevates you to another place. And that doesn't, you know, it helps me because I was hurt in my fight, and it was that, you know, that memory that really got me going. I've no doubt that, you know, there may be times in this fight where it doesn't go your way and he might come on there, but you can lean on that. You're fighting for something else. It's a
different feeling, man. Like right, even now, I'm laid back, I'm cool, like I'm ready, man. And like I said, too many bad things happened. My mum's with me now, but listen, there's gonna be times in this fight where I'm gonna have to dig deep and do what I've got to do, and that's my edge on these guys, because I think, listen, you can't hurt me as much as I've been hurt in life, no matter what. So let's go, and that's my mindset.
Well, Zelfa, from both of us, very, very best of luck, and thanks for spending a bit of time chatting to us.
Thank you.
This afternoon. We'll see you at the press conference tomorrow. Zelfa Barrett, one half of the IBF Super Featherweight World Title fight on our live card on DAZN around the world Saturday night against Shavkat Rakhimov. And well, man that was a bit unceremoniously stripped of, you see them hugging in the background there. He's a gracious man, Joe Cordina, after the victory of his career in the summer against Kenichi Ogawa. He is unfortunately no longer the world champion. Come and sit with us, Joe. We've got Jess McCaskill in the ring, challenging for undisputed super lightweight titles on Saturday night against Chantelle Cameron. We'll come on to that in a minute. But Joe, I mean, you're in an unusual position, right? Because what was probably knockout of the year, and I think it probably will be as long as the year lasts for the next 8 weeks. But you're now having to watch a man, and you've very graciously hugged him and wished him well there. Zelfa Barrett, challenge for a world title that I know you probably feel you haven't really even lost yet.
No, I haven't lost. And you're saying about knockout of the year. I've seen Eddie about 3-4 times. Someone have had a knockout in the last few months. Oh, that's knockout of the year. Stop talking rubbish. It's not. Mine is a knockout of the year. But yeah, it's a bit of a bittersweet moment. Obviously, I want Zelfa to win, but I got to watch him potentially win my world title that I've been stripped. I feel wrongly stripped. So yeah.
What happened in that process, out of interest?
It's a bit. I'll go from start to finish. I'll try and go through it as quick as possible.
Yeah, please do.
I went to Eddie's office to sort this out because Rakhimov went missing. No one could get hold of him. Now, he made a deal with the IBF because they asked him to put Fusili and Ogawa on because he's gone missing. So the case was, yeah, okay, as long as Cordina fights a winner. As far as I'm concerned, that's a done deal. But then, in the meantime, I'm not aware of anything that's going on. Behind the scenes, I'm still waiting for my show to be announced 3-4 weeks before it gets announced. But in the meantime, in between that, me being told I'm fighting for it and 3-4 weeks before it gets announced, the fight's off pretty much because he's come back on the scene. But you've already made the deal, so why are you going back on your deal to make another deal with them for me to fight? It don't make sense. So yeah, okay, they've done the deal. But like I said, I'm unaware of all this until after my fight in a post-fight press conference. So I'm sat there in a post-fight press, I'm buzzing, and then you got Eddie saying, well, no, Tony said, well, this fight was off. I looked at him, and then I looked at him, and Eddie was sort of, yeah, it was off, it wasn't happening. So I'm shocked, I'm thinking, oh my God, like, I said it would have been murder if that was the case. I've trained all this time, 10, 12 weeks, and it's off. So yeah, it is. Yeah, I was. Yeah, it was a bit of a difficult time for me to sort of process.
Sometimes, as cruel as it was, sometimes things happen for a reason. You've already completed your dream of becoming a world champion. Now, potentially in your next fight, you can be a 2-time world champion. Surely that's got to, really get you buzzing and get the juices flowing.
Saving grace, isn't it? That you have got first to the winner.
but that's just trying to make it sound good to me. I don't want to be stripped. I shouldn't have been stripped. Yeah, 2 times do sound good without being beat. But at the same time, I shouldn't have been stripped in the first place.
Especially with the number of champion in recess belts that are thrown around for situations that have got nothing to do with a champion in recess. You are the dictionary definition of a champion in recess, a champion that, for unforeseen circumstances, injury or illness, is out for a fairly specified amount of time. You know it's not going to be longer than a year. You know you're going to be back at some point in 2023. The right thing to do would have been to have made you the effect of a champion in recess, put up an interim belt, and then the two merge when you then face the winner. That's what I guess should have been done. And I understand your frustration, because we are in a sport where it does seem like sanctioning bodies make things up as they go along. But I guess we are where we are, and you've wished Zelfa.
Why strip me if I'm fighting the winner? The same scenario is happening.
Yeah.
So fight for the interim title, fight me. But you've just messed it all up. Took the belt off me.
Do you know, I've never seen Joe Cordina annoyed before, and I've known you for 8 years.
I'll tell you what, I was annoyed with him earlier when he made us sit at the front of the world's fastest roller coaster.
But the best was that it wasn't that one. It was when he was saying, "I'm falling out, dude," but he all the way around.
I was falling out of it. I was screaming.
The engineers have worked it out. You weren't falling out.
Yeah, it was, that was funny.
So Jess McCaskill, one half of our chief support on Saturday night. And Joe, I know you'll be watching ringside Saturday night. You're going to be here?
Well,
not going to be an easy one to watch.
Might be in Hakkasan somewhere, having food or something. Nah, I will be there, of course. Of course.
Good man. Right, well, appreciate you talking to us. And, well, all the best with getting healed up and back on the road to full fitness again. Joe Cordina.
Thank you. Big man.
Jessica McCaskill from St. Louis, 2-weight world champion, and she could become undisputed in 2 weight classes. A massive opportunity for her Saturday Night Live on DAZN. She made 3 defences of the undisputed championship. She won at 147 from long-reigning champion Cecilia Brækhus, summer of 2020. The rematch with Brækhus was last year, and after a close-fought contest first time round, she started like a bull in the rematch against Brækhus, straight to the centre, physical as ever. She hurt her early in the contest, set a stall out with real intent. She is a proper gunslinger. Has a lot of success with that big right hand that you see there. And, well, we expect her, Darren, to start, as she always does, fast, aggressive, come forward.
Look, this potentially could be as good as Taylor Serrano. Like you pointed out there, McCaskill in her last fight, is it Barra? Sorry, the pronunciation of her last opponent.
Oh, Cecilia Brækhus.
No.
Right, ladies and gentlemen,
I think it was a Barra. She just went hell for leather for 3 rounds.
Not undefeated, but undisputed welterweight champion. And she's going for undisputed in another weight class, super lightweight, on Saturday night. And her opponent is now making her way to the stage. She fights out of Northampton. She is undefeated, 16-0 with 8 knockouts. She's the reigning, defending, undefeated, and the unified WBC and IBF super lightweight champion of the world. Please welcome Chantelle Il Capo Cameron.
I just feel when I look at this stylistically, I know exactly how McCaskill's going to approach the fight, and I'm pretty sure Jamie Moore, Nigel Travers will be saying, look, be smart, don't get greedy, use your boxing brain. Hopefully she can walk onto one McCaskill, because I know she's going to try and be predominantly on the front foot. But I just watching Chantelle Cameron in the past, what I've seen, there's that fire in her eyes, there's that grit and determination, and I do feel that she will get dragged into a fight for quite a lot of this contest, and that's why I think it's going to be an absolute cracker.
She's only been defeated twice, Jess McCaskill. Once was against Katie Taylor at 135 £. Her last fight at 135. And Taylor really boxed, moved, didn't let her settle and set her feet.
Just between me and you, give it to me, baby. Nice and slow, climbing on top, right like you.
And in comes Jess McCaskill. Jess, great to see you. That was a long workout.
It's nothing. We'll warm up.
So you've got your opponent, Chantelle Cameron, in the ring. How have your preparations been ahead of this fight?
Preparation has been top-notch, grade A, from the dieting, the nutrition, to the strength and conditioning, to the sparring partners. It's all been just 100%.
Because, of course, coming back down to 140 pound after 4 or 5 fights there, but, of course, people forgetting that you came up originally from 135.
Yeah.
How have things felt coming back down again to 140?
It's been great. I was on weight about a month ago, no problems with the weight. The training regimen that Rick Ramos has for me is like massive, so I have to eat. No matter what weight I'm at, I have to eat like constantly. So it's been really good.
Don't want to get into this fight too tactically because I know you're not going to give too much away. But tell us what you know about Chantelle Cameron. What are her strengths and weaknesses in your opinion?
Her strength is running. I was told that she holds a little bit too. I haven't really watched, so I've watched a round or 2 of her fights. I don't really watch a lot of tape, only because I found that watching tape puts me in the incorrect mindset. I'm waiting for something to happen. I'm looking for it. I find myself doing those things, so it's just easier not to watch tape at all. So, you know, I plan for her to hold when she gets hit, because that's what everybody does when I fight them. They hold a lot once they feel my power. And then any other kind of exit strategy that she might have, you know, shuffling, stepping back, that kind of thing. So that's really what I'm looking for.
We're going to expect a fast start from you, as always.
I don't think I know how to, you know, start slow.
No, I mean,
I think my whole career, Rick has been telling me, you got to start faster, you got to start faster, from having, you know, 4 2-minute rounds, which isn't a lot, to training, we train 3-minute rounds, and then when you switch from training 3-minute rounds to fighting 2-minute rounds, you're losing a whole minute, so you got to start faster. So now we train with 2-minute rounds, and so everything is just like 100 miles an hour from start to finish.
Just moving away from the fight slightly, what is your take and your view on potentially women fighting at 3-minute rounds?
I'm down for it as long as someone says that it's safe. I would like for a health official, a doctor of some sort, to give us the okay. We know that women cannot take as much, you know, physical taxing punches the way that men can. And honestly, the pool of women is so small. As soon as a female gets hurt from a fight, they're on a 60, 90-day suspension, so then they're out. And so that's how the pool gets smaller and smaller. So you don't want that. So as soon as somebody says it's okay, then let's go. But maybe until then, we can start with 12 2-minute rounds or something like that.
For many fighters, I think the dream of becoming undisputed is so far away. For you are now 2 days away from becoming potentially a 2-weight undisputed champion. Just put into context for us what that would mean to you if you had your hand raised on Saturday.
It's just a massive dream that I didn't know that I had, and an opportunity that I never knew would actually come. So to be like days away from it, it's just really amazing. You know, you try not to live in the moment too much because you have a job to do, but also you want to feel those feels, because when are you going to have that opportunity again?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Jess, absolute pleasure to speak to you. Wish you all the very best on Saturday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, Chris, I've got to leave you. I'm actually off. I'm a bit worried, actually, because I'm not a great flyer, but I'm jumping on a helicopter with Eddie Hearn and Joe Cordina as we're doing a Q&A in
You're
Dubai.
Going where?
I'm heading off to Dubai. I've got to quickly jump on a helicopter, so I've got to love you and leave you.
You're going in a helicopter?
Yeah, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow,
Why
mate.
did I find out about this kind of stuff? Ridiculous. See you, mate. See you, mate. Take care. He lives a ridiculous life. So Chantelle Cameron in the ring with Nigel Travis. I'm riding solo now, folks, while Darren Barker takes a helicopter to Dubai. There is absolutely no justice in this world. But I hear we might get a word with Alicia Baumgartner. Unified super featherweight world champion after a brilliant fight with Michaela Mayer a couple of weekends ago. Chantelle Cameron in the ring, El Capo, the boss, her 9th fight under the guidance of the man on the pads, Nigel Travis and Jamie Moore as well. She's looked better and better these last 2 to 3 years. They linked up at the start of 2019. She became world champion against Adriana Dos Santos Araujo, who she missed weight by a mile. She was nearly 146 pounds in that fight, meaning she was ineligible for the title. Cameron, of course, still was. That did mean she was giving up 8 pounds in weight, a full weight division in real terms. She hit the scales at 137. Araujo solid, heavy-handed. Cameron had to keep her turning pot shot from range. She boxed well against the woman who beat Natasha Jonas and Mira Potnikinen in Olympic year, Queen Underwood too. Then she fought Melissa Hernandez, who's an ex-challenger, the Miami-based Puerto Rican. Who had a good win over the unbeaten Selena Barrios to secure a title shot in Las Vegas on the Haney Linares undercard. Cameron was dominant in that fight. Hurt her early, put her down in the 4th round. When she had Hernandez upstairs hurt, she continued to rip the body. She may need to take something out of Jess McCaskill to stop her coming forward on Saturday night. That was an early stoppage by the referee. It was one-way traffic though, and Hernandez wasn't in the fight. She has got better and better with each passing contest under the guidance of the man on the pads in Manchester. She's in her prime as champion, and when that 4-woman tournament came around, she looked the slight favourite alongside Kaylee Reese. But of course, with the fight falling through, with Kaylee Reese landing a role in True Detective, she is now in an undisputed world title fight on Saturday night against Chicago's Jessica McCaskill. And well, we've had some unbelievable women's fights this year, and one that sits right amongst them, another big victory for Alicia Baumgartner, who burst onto the scene in the UK earlier this year with that amazing win over Terry Harper, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in against Michaela May in the UK, in London, Pax Arena, and what a performance it was, what a close fight. Congratulations first of all. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling super blessed to be here, Abu Dhabi. It's fight week. I love being in the boxing atmosphere.
You were dominant in the early stages of that fight. You couldn't miss Michaela May. The jab, that counter right hand over her jab. She had to really work her way back into the contest. How did you feel the fight was going when you were in it? Do you get a perception of where you are in the fight, how the fight's going? I'm sorry, by the way, it is so loud in here. You cannot hear yourself think, let alone speak. We'll wait for David to speak. We'll come back and we'll talk to Alicia.
I love this fight. It's a great fight. It's a chief support, so you definitely do not want to miss it. Chantelle Cameron and Jessica McCaskill for the undisputed super lightweight championship of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to do the open workout for our main event of the evening. As Mr. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing, in association with World of Boxing, Golden Boy Promotions, and Zurdo Promotions, are proud to present 12 rounds of boxing for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. It's going to take place at the Etihad Arena here in Abu Dhabi, and we're sponsored by Palm Sports, Stagefront, Wow Hydrate, and Visit Abu Dhabi. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please welcome to the ring the challenger. He's a southpaw, hence the name Zurdo. 44-0, undefeated, 30 big wins coming by way of knockout. He's the former WBO super middleweight champion of the world, presentando de Mazatlán, Sinaloa, Mexico. Ranked #1 in the world by the WBA, la nueva sensación de boxeo, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez.
So one half of the main event in the ring. Alicia, I think you can hear me a little bit better now, can you? Okay, great. You came into the fight as a world champion already, but this had a little bit of something different, didn't it? It had the spice, the build-up, and then the delay. Can you just talk me through the process of the 5 weeks in between the two fights? How you must have had to add some calories back into your diet and then cut down again. How were those 5 weeks in between the delay and the rescheduling?
Yeah, the 5 weeks were actually a plus to me. I took everything as a positive. I never had any issues with weight, so I was able just to go back into the gym, have an even harder training camp, you know, continue still eating the way I ate prior to, and just sharpen up everything. Everything that I thought was good, I did better.
So you felt even better going into the fight?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
So what I was saying before was you started really well in the fight. Maya dragged herself back into it in the middle rounds. How did you feel it was going by around 6 or 7? Do you have an idea of where you are in the fight? Did you feel ahead or did you know it was close?
I definitely knew I was ahead. I knew that I was landing the harder punches. I was sharper. I was more decisive for the judges to see what punches were being landed, you know? Even though Maya was coming forward, I was still keeping that jab. I was keeping that jab out there and throwing it very hard to keep her at bay to let my combinations go.
Is there anything she did that surprised you in the fight?
Nothing.
And Hyun Mi Choi next, is that the plan?
That's the plan. I would love that fight. My goal has always been undisputed at 130. I'm super close. And again, you know, the work is never done.
Awesome. Great to see. Thank you so much for your time, Alicia. Congratulations on the win. We look forward to seeing you again next year. Alicia Baumgartner, the new unified super featherweight women's champion, and Gilberto Ramirez, former super middleweight champion, currently in the ring. Okay, Gilberto Ramirez then has gone through his workout, one half of our main event, and I've got one half of the chief support with me. Heard from Jess McCaskill about 10 minutes ago. Chantelle Cameron, big night for you on Saturday. How are you feeling?
Feeling great, yeah. What a place to be for a fight week.
Right.
I'm feeling fantastic, yeah. It's unreal. What an experience this is so far already.
Yeah. Talk to me about your preparation for this. You've been sparring, I know Aqib Fiaz, we talked about that. Jack Catterall as well?
Yeah, Aqib, Jack Catterall, Sean, all the lads in the gym.
So Jack goes orthodox, does he?
He does his switch it, so he goes orthodox, and we hustle.
Good man, that's good. We were talking to Jess about your strengths and weaknesses. What do you make of her? Because we know she starts fast. Are you expecting her to try anything different on Saturday?
Yeah, she'll come out looking for a dogfight, but I've got a good work rate, so I'll be there as well. And
what sort of fight do you want on Saturday?
I always like putting on a good show, so I don't want to be in there and watching some of Jessica's fights. Like, she's not the best to watch. I think she's not easy on the eye. So I don't want to be dragged into that sort of fight where I'm like having a dog fight where I don't need to. Like, I know I can box her ears off if I want to, but when I need to, I'm going to stand there and trade. But I want to put on a good performance and show boxing. Not. I don't want to be in there having an ugly fight.
Katie Taylor kind of dealt with her, took the momentum away, just stuck and moved, walked her onto shots. Have you watched that fight? Is that kind of a blueprint for how to deal with her in a pretty comfortable fashion?
Yeah, obviously me and Katie Taylor are completely different styles as well, but the team I've got, they've dealt with an A, B and C, so we've got everything covered. We've got every box ticked off and ready to rock and roll.
I spoke to Aqib Fiaz about this a little bit earlier on. Just give me an idea of what it's been like since you joined Nigel and Jamie. I think it was 2018, 19 was it? Just what they've done for you as a person, as a fighter, and your experience of training underneath them.
It's always a good laugh in the gym, but when it's serious as well. So you can't be messing about and getting up to no good and stuff. You'll get a kick up the ass and be like, switch on now. But what a place to be, because they make training enjoyable. Boxing's a hard sport, it's tough anyway, so you don't need to hate going into the gym, whereas I love going into the gym because I know they're going to lift my mood. It's always good spirits, it's always a good laugh, And look at the tactics they always get right. You look at our stable, the game plans we execute, because the team behind me just shows that we're such a strong team.
Well, listen, undisputed title on the line on Saturday. Massive opportunity for you. Thank you for talking to us, and all the very best for the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, well, we've got plenty coming up on the zone over the next few weeks. We've got a promo for you, and then we're going to... Sorry, today's been chaos, by the way. I'm sure it hasn't passed you by. We haven't even got Darren Barker in the studio. But yeah, let's head to this. We'll come back, and we'll get Dmitry Bivol in the ring.
Fight fans, welcome to the DAZN Boxing Show. Bringing you all the exclusive news, interviews, and outspoken views from the world of boxing.
I'm back in beast mode. The fight starts now!
Catch the latest boxing news every single weekday.
I'm gonna be honest, man. That kid's pissing me off.
This is what boxing's all about.
From the best fighters to the biggest
world, fighting out of Indio, California, 20-0, 11 knockouts. Saturday night, he'll be making his 9th defense of his world title. Ladies and gentlemen, Dmitry Bivol.
The light heavyweight WBA world champion, Dmitry Bivol. After one of the victories of the year against Canelo Alvarez on Cinco de Mayo, putting his name on the boxing map. So many people wrote him off, and well, he made pretty easy work of it in the end, didn't he? Master of distance, timing, range, an underrated power puncher as well. But he is in a big fight with a big, strong man in Zurdo Ramirez. Come and join me in the studio, so it's lovely to meet you. We haven't met before, but this, of course, is a huge opportunity for you as well on Saturday night. How are you feeling ahead of the fight?
I feel great. I feel excited for this Saturday, and I want to take everything. I want to take the belt, and it's exciting because be here in Abu Dhabi with all the people is really kind. The people here, and it's different country for me, and I mean, it's a dream. It's a dream.
Yeah, the opportunity to become a two-weight world champion for you against the man who proved himself against your Mexican countryman last time out as well. Is this one for the Mexican people as well as for yourself?
Yes, of course. I will do it for all the Mexican people. It will be a revenge, not only for Canelo. It will be for the whole country, for all the Latino, for all Mexican people.
What do you do differently to Canelo in this fight on Saturday?
Well, throw a lot of punches and go to the body, and I mean, it's really exciting for me to be here. Really exciting, see Bivol, and I want to take the belt. 2-time world champion. That's my dream come true, and I will do it this Saturday.
He's got very quick feet, Dmitry Bivol. Good timing, good distance. That body work early in the fight, we know you like to throw that left hand to the body. Do you need to try and slow his feet down to get to work?
Well, I think he's a good champion. He's a good champion. He's a good fighter. But the only thing, he had to fight me. He had to face me. And that's the only bad for him, because I will take the belt, and that's it for him. That's the last title defense for him.
Well, it's been really good to meet you. Thank you for your time, and all the very best on Saturday. Good luck.
Thank you everyone. Muchas gracias a toda la gente por el apoyo. No se pierdan la pelea el sábado 5 de noviembre aquí en Abu Dhabi. Thank you everyone.
Well, I'm sure you lot understood that at home. I didn't, but thank you very much, and great to meet you, Gilberto. Cheers. Gilberto Ramirez in the studio with us. Dmitry Bivol in the ring. The other half of the main event on Saturday night from Abu Dhabi, live on DAZN. Saw him in against the tall figure of Great Spider Richards in the fight before Canelo. He had the best part of 2 years out of the ring during the pandemic, had a bit of rust to shake off, was in control of a competitive contest, and perhaps felt they hadn't seen the very best of him, and then the Canelo fight got made. Of course, Canelo chasing those legacy fights at super middleweight and up at light heavy too, defeating Sergey Kovalev for the WBO strap before this, and Bivol just a step too far. Feet were good, the power was good. Canelo felt the force of those shots on the gloves early, knew that he couldn't take liberties, knew he couldn't take too many risks, and Bivol just dictated him at range. So smooth, so relaxed, an underrated puncher as well. Posted to a wide decision victory in Las Vegas to retain his title, become only the second man to defeat Canelo Alvarez since he was a 23-year-old against Floyd Mayweather all those years ago. And now his name is on the map. He is one of the men to beat in that pound-for-pound boxing list. Can Zurdo Ramirez do it? Can he exert the pressure? How will he respond when that first right hand from Dmitry Bivol lands? So no doubt it will. Completely contrasting styles. Bivol's, it's not a huge light heavyweight. Those of you who've seen him or met him in person will know more like the kind of size you'd expect from a super middleweight, 6 foot, maybe 6'1". Gilberto Ramirez is the best part of 6'4". Big southpaw, busy. As you mentioned, can he land that left hand to the body? Can he take the legs of this man away and slow him down? That has to be part of the game plan. For those of you just joining us, welcome to the Yas Mall, Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. We are just a couple of days away now from fight night in the UAE. There is the WBA light heavyweight world champion Dmitry Bivol. A unique style, almost like on ice skates, isn't it? Just gliding in and out of range. How easy will he be to pin down for Gilberto Ramirez? Such a complete fighter these days. You've seen him really hurt once in a kind of mini crisis. That was round 11 in an otherwise totally dominant display against Joe Smith Jr. back in 2019. He was in control through 10 rounds and was caught right on the bell at the end of the round, looping overhand right, caught him high on the side of the head, above the left ear, just completely switching him off. Staggered back to his corner on unsteady legs. He had 60 seconds of recovery in between round 10 and 11, came back and had to stay out of danger, stay disciplined, got on his bike, picked the odd single in return, allowed himself to recover again before dominating the 12th round. And well, for the 160 rounds he's boxed in his 20 fights so far, sometimes it's the 1 or 2 rounds that don't go right for the fighter when you learn something equally as important about them. Mayweather Mosley round 2, another example of that for Bivol, for all his consistency and brilliance and dominance in so many of those 160 rounds. We know too, from that moment against Joe Smith Jr., he can manage a crisis as well. Will he have to weather one on Saturday night? For Ramirez, he came up to light heavyweight after that second fight with Jesse Hart. He won both of those contests, kind of 60-40 territory. The Hart believes that Ramirez doesn't like pressure, and since he's come up, he's fought a very solid level of B-string fighters with winning records, guys on the fringe of world level, guys who've fallen short at world level, like Tommy Carpenter, Alfonso Lopez, Sullivan Barrera, Yuni Gonzalez, Dominic Bosel. They've got good records between them, 136 wins against 18 combined, but there's a lot of padding across those records. But he said he's felt much better at 175. Ramirez has looked good too, stopped all 5 of those opponents at various points in contest. Probably the best of those wins on paper, the Cuban Sullivan Barrera. Very nearly lasted 12 against Bivol in 2018 in what was a complete shutout for the man on your screen. But against Ramirez, he only lasted 4. I think one of the problems he had, which he's had several times throughout his career, is he's vulnerable early. Gets caught cold and hurt in the first 3 or 4 rounds. It was against Lee Campbell, Joe Smith, Andre Ward. Barrera, a good fighter. He was 39 last year when he fought Ramirez. In terms of common opponents, hard to discern whether that tells us anything about the way these two will match up. It probably doesn't, in truth. Can he dominate the distance and range as he does so easily against so many opponents? Against big, strong, busy southpaw in Zurdo Ramirez.
WBA light heavyweight champion of the world, Dmitry Bivol. Main event Saturday night at the Arena Matchroom Boxing in association with World of Boxing, Golden Boy Promotions, and Zurdo Promotions. It's an incredible fight card. The Champion Series happens on Saturday night, and you've got the world champion in the main event right here. Shavkat Rakhimov in the house also from World of Boxing. Great to see him. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, Dmitry Bivol. Dmitry Bivol. Oh! We got the whole gang in here. Great to see you. Israel Madrimov, ladies and gentlemen. Shakram Giasov. The World of Boxing team in full effect. And Dmitry Bivol right here. Oh, MJ! Ladies and gentlemen, unified super bantamweight champion of the world right here from Uzbekistan. It's his birthday today. MJ's birthday is today. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kaka. Happy birthday to you. All right, champion of the world right there, MJ. Great to see you. All right, Dmitry Bivol, main event, Zurdo Ramirez, WBA light heavyweight championship of the world.
Dmitry, great to see you again. I don't know if you remember, last time we spoke on Zoom, you showed me your friend's Lego set. You remember this?
My friends, where it was?
You had Lego?
Yeah, Lego.
Friends?
Yeah, of course.
That was you?
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
How has your life changed since you beat Canelo Alvarez?
Just more people recognize me now, and I feel the respect of them. And I got this fight. It's great.
Taken a long time to earn that respect, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time, but it's fine. I think it's now because the gods want that.
And this is a very different challenge to Canelo Alvarez, isn't it, Saturday?
Of course it's different because the guys are different, 100% different. And but I love challenges, and it's good for me that my opponent has 44 victories and 0 losses.
Will it be 44-1 on Saturday?
I hope, I believe. I'm here, I train for that, you know.
And then on to the biggest year of your career, 2023, Beterbiev, that's the fight you want, isn't it?
Типа хочу ли... Yeah, maybe the biggest, yeah. And of course I want to fight for more belts. It's my goal. I want to make a history, you know. course.
All-Star Saturday night. All the very best of luck. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you so much.
Dmitry Bivol, WBA light heavyweight champion of the world, one half of our main event here in the UAE, live on Saturday. Thank you very much. Live on Saturday night on DAZN. Well, at this point, I'd normally say from Chris Lloyd and Darren Barker, but I think he's probably at about 15,000 feet right now. So from myself, thanks for watching this afternoon. We will see you at the press conference tomorrow, local time at 1 o'clock. Take care. Thanks for your company this afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the featured bout of the evening. From the four corners of the world, to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!